So to preface this video, I think my wife is very, very beautiful, and I love her so very much. But if she died...
when she dies,
no,
when I kill her later,
no.
There's video evidence that I was intending to in order to be with.
All right. Anya Taylor-Joy is gorgeous. Let's move on from it. Everyone knows that I have a thing for her. We're gonna move on from that. So the menu was released today. Technically, you could have saw it yesterday, but Sedona didn't have an early showing. But I'm very happy they got it at all because Sedona typically does not get these kinds of movies. So thank God that they did. So what is this film about? This film is about a bunch of people who are invited to this prestigious restaurant on an island by this world-renowned chef, and only the, top tier echelons of people are able to go to this place. And it has a very limited amount of people that can be there. I think 12, if I remember correctly. Anya Taylor-Joy's character, Margot, is invited by this guy played by Nicholas Hoult, and he is taking her to this. Now, she's the only one who really doesn't care at all, and she plays more as the us of the film, the outsiders who don't really know this world. And they go there, and the chef has this whole night planned out.
Yes.
Whole story to tell with his menu. And because of the horror label, I'm sure you can tell it doesn't go the way that they hope it's going to go.
No.
So right off the bat, I loved it. It is a satire on foodies, on pretentious critics, on pretentious people in general, on the rich,
elitists,
on so many different things. Yes. And we'll definitely get into spoilers, because this is one I absolutely want to talk spoilers on. But for now, before we get into those, my thoughts, it's great. I don't honestly really have any complaints. I really enjoyed everything about it. I really liked what the film had to say. And I think that some people might find that heavy-handed. I didn't. I mean, I can see why people would think it, but I agree, so I don't care.
Yeah.
People are overly pretentious.
Yes.
And people, there's a message that goes into the film. We're going to talk about that in the spoiler section, but there's kind of an overarching theme, of course, and that's the point of the menu, right, is to have that overarching theme that he's telling his story. And I loved so much of it, and there's definitely some hypocrisy going on in there as well, much like Jigsaw and Saw or something.
Sure.
But anyways, what'd you think?
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you mentioned Jigsaw, because it did give me actually Saw vibes a lot of the time. But I also loved it. I thought it was really great. It was very darkly humorous, and
yes.
The message really is the main thing. It's relatable for people, I think, who are in customer service or in a certain what's the word?
What? Service industry?
No,
Wait,
I can't believe I'm forgetting the word for this. Not a rich person, a lower. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to say what the word is now. So I'm going to move on from that. No, not peasants, but for people who are poorer.
Yeah. There's so many words.
Yeah, but there's a better word for it that I was trying to think of. Anyway, I just think that message is very relatable, and the movie does a really good job at demonstrating kind of how people feel towards the wealthy. And it was great. It was a good experience. I really like that, there's different courses for the menu, and I like the title card for the ingredients of each course, and it fit really nicely. So.
The film is definitely a dark comedy first and foremost. Horror, yes, I guess, right? There's definitely horror elements to it, but it's more of a dark comedic satire on upper class people who think they're better than everybody.
Yes.
But yeah, so Ralph Fiennes is excellent
Mm-hmm.
as this Gordon Ramsay-esque character. I don't know if people call people donkeys often in like kitchens or in Europe or whatever, but Gordon Ramsay loves to yell that at people. I've watched a lot of his shows, and when Ralph Fiennes actually called someone a donkey in this, I laughed heartily and had to wonder if that was a nod to like, this is very Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Nicholas Hoult is great. There's definitely some good twists to it that make you go, fuck. Like, what? Oh man, wow, I really, really don't like you now. Anya, of course, plays her part perfectly. Yeah. She's the fish out of water. She's the one making all the comments that you want to make yourself. Yes. Unless you're one of these people and you're watching this, like, oh yeah, totally. Why do they got to make fun of us?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think we'll get into spoilers about it, but yeah. I can see both sides to an extent.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being passionate about something that you love.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And I think, people who are super into something, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the elitist behavior, yes. Right? Like, oh, you wouldn't get it,
right?
And like like talking down to people and this and that. And Nicholas Hoult kind of embodies that. He's the foodie, and he's very condescending.
Oh my god, this guy, he made me want to crawl into the screen and punch him because he was just
Yeah.
He did a great job at it.
Yeah, he's definitely. I don't know if he's the most pretentious, but he's definitely in the running.
Yeah, he's in the running for sure.
And John Leguizamo is in this, and even the lawyer.
The lawyer,
from
Ozark, which is cool. I really like seeing her because I actually think she's a great actress, and
Helen
she definitely is.
Pierce.
Yeah, she seems, at least I've only seen her in Ozark, but it's kind of a similar typecasting, I think.
Yeah.
Is going on for her, but she does a good job at it.
And the mom from Who's the Boss, who I haven't seen a whole bunch, and freaking this character actor Reed Birney, who we've seen in a ton of shit. We saw him in Mass recently. He's one of the parents in that movie. Anyways, so I guess from the trailer, I think you have a very good idea of what this film is about. It's exactly what you think it's gonna be.
Yeah.
This movie played out exactly how I expected it to play out.
Yeah.
Not as far as like in turns, but just the tone and the humor and everything. Like the trailer is the movie, but a much better, more expanded version of the trailer. It's just sometimes trailers can be very misleading. They can set a much different tone than the film is. They can, the marketing goes, but no, not this. This is exactly the trailer. This is exactly what I expected. It's exactly what I got and what I wanted. So, yeah, I'm happy with it. I was very satisfied in the end. After I was full when I left.
Yeah, I was full too. I was creatively filled.
Yeah. I went in with a clean palate, and I came out completely.
So, okay, would you go to a restaurant not quite like this, but
why is Bean's hair
there's
everywhere?
So much hair. But would you go to a restaurant that had a deconstructed, whatever plate, deconstructed spaghetti, and it was foam and a little thing of oil? Would you go somewhere and would you eat that food?
On my own, when I'm my own choice. I actually booked a reservation and went there.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of money.
Yeah.
In this scenario.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be incredible.
Maybe I think the only thing that would be holding me back is my own. I would feel like a pretentious dick being there,
yeah.
Right.
When you're scooping up some foam.
Yeah.
And you're I paid
But I don't know.
$500 for this.
I think my curiosity would definitely get the best of me and just be like, what is it that's so amazing about this? And I would try to be fair. Would I think it was worth the price? Probably not.
Sure.
Would I go to some place that's like super uber crazy expensive? No. Just by principle. Mm-hmm. I just wouldn't. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Anyways, let's talk spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, it's got Anya Taylor-Joy in it, so you should see it. That's the only review you need. Okay, so as far as spoilers, my favorite parts, I have to mention right out the gate, as a film lover, it is so fucking funny to me that John Leguizamo's character is being killed because he didn't like a movie he was in.
Oh my gosh, that was like... It's hilarious because it's such a stupid reason to kill somebody, but at the same time, how many times do we watch a movie that we're just like, that was a waste of time? Like, we literally can't get that 90 minutes back now.
Yeah.
Like, and you're upset about it because you do feel like you wasted your life. You wasted part of it.
Well, there's a message to it,
yes.
right? And the point of it is, do I think he deserves death for taking some shit role? No, of course not. I mean, everything is to the extreme here. And as I said, there's a bunch of hypocritical nonsense going on in here. Do I think some of these people probably deserve to die? I mean, I definitely wasn't sorry for some of them, right?
Sure.
I don't know if there's anyone in this movie, outside of the people who are murdering people, I don't know if anyone does anything in this movie that I'm like, yeah, they deserve to die. Like, there isn't any, like, murderers, torturers, freaking pedophiles that are, like, raping and mutilating, like, little children, like 5-year-olds or something. Then you're like, okay, get rid of them. But, like, I don't know. A dude, like, I get it. And here's the thing. You can't take the film literally. The film is a jab at these types of people.
Yeah.
It's saying, like, these are artists that are poking fun and trying to send a message of, like, stop being these people. And Leguizamo's character making this shitty movie, the whole point of that, of course, is that, not only did it waste the day off that he had, right? He never gets a time off. That's his own fucking fault, right? He made that decision. He doesn't have to work all the time. He sat there and watched the movie. He could have shut it off 5 minutes in. There's hypocrisy going on in there for sure. Nobody's forcing you to watch the fucking movie. No. But there is something to be said for people who are artists and they quote unquote sell out. They go and they throw away their passion, and that's what happens in this movie, right? That's how Anya is able to escape. As she reinvigorates his passion and reminds him of a time when he used to care, which I thought was brilliant, and it's such a fantastic way for her to get out of this. But like when what's Leguizamo's character's name? Movie Star. He doesn't have a name.
Movie Star.
Okay, Movie Star. So when Movie Star is being confronted with that, it's like Bruce Willis or Robert De Niro or whatever. They've made a lot of very subpar movies in the last 10 to 15 years that went straight to DVD, and these are paycheck movies. And they're movies that are a waste of people's fucking time, right? They're just putting their name on the product to make $1. They're wasting people's time, and they're diluting their filmography and their legacy, right? It's about not having passion anymore, not really caring about the craft anymore. It's I have a name and I'm going to exploit that name because you like me, because I built this career on my name. You love Die Hard, right? You love freaking, Bruce Willis has been in so many fucking movies. Sorry, I could name 1,000 of them. Doesn't matter. But you love my filmography, right? Like, now I'm going to exploit that, and I'm going to give my name. I'm going to lend my name to a movie production
Yeah.
So that they can use my name to lure you in to a movie under false pretenses.
Yeah.
We know we don't have the budget. We know we don't have the script. We know that this is going to be mostly a waste of your time. Every once in a while, you get a good one. That does happen, where I actually have a good time when I watch those. But for the most part, when you watch them, they are shit, and they know they're shit. And they do them purely for the money. Mm-hmm. And they do them not caring about their craft anymore. And as somebody who's this passionate about his art.
Right.
He's so in love with what he does. It irks him to no end, to the point where he wants to kill him. He's like, I can't stop thinking about it. Yeah. Every time I see your face, I can just go back to that time where you wasted my fucking time.
Well, a couple things. First, I mean, as you said, she reinvigorates his passion. I think that he is, like, you know, the menu, what he's doing right now is loveless, it's passionless. And I really, you know, a lot of people become chefs because they really obviously love cooking, you know, for their friends and family, and like feeding them and nourishing them. And there's like, you know, a really comforting feeling when somebody cooks for you. And so I also loved just how she is able to, you know, touch him and, you know, then escape as a result. But as far as all the people go, I really loved seeing everyone's different reactions to the situation. I think that the critic couple was maybe the funniest, because the amount of times that they like said that it was just theatrics or a show, like somebody is literally killed in front of them.
Yeah.
And then they start to get like, you know, not paranoid, but like, they're like, this is all just for us. You know, they're so self-centered and so elitist about it. So I thought that was really funny. But, you know, even just all the other people and how they're reacting, the wealthy older couple who Margot slept with the husband, their interactions and everything.
She didn't sleep with him.
Or, sorry, she didn't sleep with him, but yeah.
She didn't even touch him, from what she was told.
But,
he just jacked off and made her call him her daughter.
Yes.
Whoa.
Their relationship was also, like, very tragic because they are loveless. Like, they're together just for the money. And I really like how the chef kind of calls everybody out on what their issue is and why they're a part of this group. And for them, you know, to have gone there 11 times and not remember anything.
Yeah.
You know, that there's people that wealthy, like the only reason they're going there is because it's a prestigious restaurant.
Yeah.
It's just
it's
so
nothing
that it's nothing.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, that kind of stuff is just really wild to think about. And that's why I liked the message for service industry workers, because you get so burnt out trying to be of service and trying to like be helpful and whatever for people that could care less. Like, you are so beneath them and so nothing to them.
Yeah.
And there really is this divide between like the hyper wealthy and like everybody else, especially when you're middle class, like lower middle class. You know, like it's just a different landscape. It's a totally different world. And I think that this really highlights what those differences can mean. Margot's date, the guy that she's with,
oh my God,
was absolutely infuriating.
Yes.
In the beginning, you know, I kind of was like, okay, this is just his thing. He's really geeky and really into it, and it is pretentious. But as we were saying, like, if you're into anything, you can make it as deep as possible. You know, like, how many people do this with music or with film or with books? Like, you know, when it means so much to you, you really do place art on this high pedestal that it becomes like a religion. And for people to not get it, it's insulting. And, you know, it insults the craft, and it insults like the spiritual awakening that people can have with art. But, you know, seeing how he starts acting towards her whenever she doesn't get it from the beginning. Like, she's not into it. And she's not, like, rude. She's sarcastic and, you know, kind of funny. But she's not, like, totally disrespecting everything. And the instant that he changes and it's just, like, he's calling her a child. And it just, it was so angering. Those types of people drive me crazy.
Well, and I mean, he thinks he can talk to her like that because, I mean, so many reasons, obviously,
gosh.
right? Like, he's paying for her to be there. She's a high class, big dollar call girl.
Yeah.
And also because, as we know,
oh my goodness.
He brings her there to die.
That
and he
reveal?
doesn't care.
Oh, man.
He's just like, I want to be there. I'm willing to die. He knows he's going to die.
Yes.
And he just wants so badly to meet him. They corresponded for 8 months.
8 months, and he was planning this to take his ex-girlfriend right with him.
Yeah, he couldn't get his girlfriend to go. He wanted her to die.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming maybe his girlfriend deserved it, because as the chef says, like, you're not supposed to be here. Like, I don't want you to die. You don't deserve this.
And I love that, you know, because it makes it like he is a complicated killer. Like, he doesn't want somebody who he thinks is innocent or, you know, as innocent as can be, like, to not get hurt by his art.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, he has some dialogue early on, Chef does, about, like, the microorganisms that they're eating and the whole ecosystems or something that he says. And I do really like this take of, which maybe this is how people who are, like, into, like, food in this kind of way feel, but, you know, that it's a balance between life and death. Because I've also always thought about that as far as food goes. Like, no matter what you do, you are eating something and it's going to die. And, you know, having people really aware of the fact that they're, like, consuming another life form and, you know, what that means, like, for the halibut or, you know, the plants or whatever. I don't think many people, like, they eat, as he says. They don't, like, experience and savor and all of that. And that's definitely really true. A lot of people are super disconnected from their food, which I think is a problem. But I would say that this film shows the people that are, like, too connected to it and the problems that can cause.
Sure, there's a balance to everything. I've said it a million times, and I'll say it a million more times before I die. There's a balance to everything. And, you know, both sides are out of whack in this.
Yes.
Right? And, there's a lot of passion. That he has such a passion for food, and he just cracks. He cracks under it, and I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is a cult movie, right? Like, this is a movie about a cult who has decided that they want to die for their craft, that they feel like their art is dead, that foodies and critics and wealthy people have ruined their craft, that they... In order to get to that high level that they're at, when you get to the highest level, when you get to those Michelin star type restaurants, where you can only really make food for the ultra wealthy, you start to lose that audience that you were once doing it for, because these people don't really give a shit anymore. Now it's just about the name dropping. Right, as what John Leguizamo's movie star character is like. I'm a name dropping whore. Like, he just wants to go there because he's trying to promote his new show, and he's like, you know, she's talking to him like, well, what do you think about it? And he's like, it's good. He doesn't have anything to say.
Not at all.
He just doesn't have a career anymore, and he's trying to revamp it with whatever's hot.
Yes.
And these food shows like Chef's Table and Iron Chef and Master Chef and, you know, all these damn shows that they have now on food, it's a big thing. And so he's trying to tap into that without giving a shit. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's just there to exploit it, right? And then you got the businessmen who are there, and they're terrible. They're talking awful shit at the table, and they even point out that we're fucking monsters, aren't we? And it's
my God.
yeah, you guys are monsters.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit. They're just like, where's the bread and this and that. They're not even paying attention to the story. They're just there for whatever they want. And they're like trying to boss the maitre d' around and tell her. I think that's what she is. Our host. I guess she's a host.
Yeah, I'm
the
not
maitre d' is
sure.
the other guy.
The wine guy, right?
I think.
I don't know.
I don't know how that
I don't
works.
know.
I don't know how that works. She's the host.
She's like the one that keeps all the customers in line.
I thought that was, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think she'd
I don't know
dress
what-
like that if she was, right?
Yeah.
The maitre d' wears like a suit. That guy wears a suit. There. We'll say that.
I don't know.
Anyways. So yeah, she, you know, and I thought she was fucking great.
Yes.
I love that chick in this movie. She is just so in your face and scary.
So scary.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like, this movie did have some scariness to it, for sure. I mean, like, the whole cult aspect, really. Like, the way that all of the other cooks are just, like, the sous chefs, right? Fall into line and are so... I mean, they're not brainwashed, but they are very much, like, in this, like, regimen that he has created, and that is fascinating too because. Yeah, I don't know. The guy literally, like, he kills himself because he doesn't think that he can ever achieve the greatness of, which is wild. That's wild.
I feel that way sometimes playing Apex Legends. I sit there and I watch, like, Akka and I watch Timmy and I'm like, I'm never going to be this good.
Oh my gosh.
I'm blowing my fucking head off.
It just shows how serious they take, the art of cooking.
Absolutely.
And it really is nice to juxtapose that passion and obsession, really. It's obsession with the movie star who has no care. He has no message, and Chef has every message ever that he wants to tell people, for all kinds of things.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's a nice juxtaposition.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and... as I had said, I mean, Anya, or she had a couple different names in the movie. Mm-hmm. What was her real name?
I can't remember what her real name was, but I know she said... Actually, no, I'm not going to say where she wasn't from...
she changes her story.
Yeah, but I don't remember what her
She at first was Nebraska, for sure.
I think the second one was either Brooklyn or Manhattan.
Oh, I don't think so.
No?
I could be wrong. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Fuck. Definitely need to see it again eventually. But yeah, I figured when the Coast Guard pulled up that, I don't know. I was kind of back and forth on that. I thought he was just going to get shot the second that he gave him his stuff. I did find it funny. Now, I don't know if the Coast Guard was in on this and it was supposed to be like more of a like push on this. But when the Coast Guard said that he loved his movie, and he names the specific title, the Doctor movie that he was in, I liked that for, even though he ends up being part of it, and he was probably told to say that just to kind of fuck with him more. But I do like that in theory if that guy was actually serious, because no matter how shit you think a movie is, it has its fans, right?
Sure.
Like, everything we just said about, like, the Bruce Willis movies and all the Robert De Niro movies and this and that, I bet you pretty much every one of those movies that they made, there are people who watch those and were like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Right? And they actually had a good time. Now, does that take away from the fact that I think that they knew they made a bad movie that a lot of people aren't going to like? I mean, it's fine to make an artsy movie that you're passionate about and you're like, I don't think anybody's going to like this. That's fine, right? But what's more fun, right? Like, is it making a really artsy movie that probably 95% of the people who sit down in the theater are going to be pissed off by it? Or that you're super passionate about? Or like some MCU Marvel movie that, like, you don't have any real passion for, but that, like, most people who go to see it are going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
What's worse? What's a bigger sin?
I don't know. I think it depends on the person, right? That's like the whole thing with art.
Are we as artists expected to be crowd pleasers? I don't think so.
No?
But I do think that, I don't know. That's a tough one for me. I've always been back and forth on that. Like, time is a valuable thing.
Yeah.
And if you are going to make something that people are going to invest their time in, I do think it is somewhat of an obligation to at least do your best to make the movie you think would be the most appealing to people like you. And hopefully those people, are more than less. Hopefully you have tastes like a lot of people, because I don't, who likes sitting through a movie they hate?
Sure. I don't know what the right answer is, because I think that there probably let me speak properly. There are probably times when you make something that is not appealing to anybody but yourself, but that itself has value and is cathartic and important.
Yeah.
So I do think that art serves a purpose aside from connecting with other people. I think that it can be really personal, and you might be the only one that gets it, but that's that's all that needs to happen, really, at the end of the day.
And I could definitely make an entire freaking video on this because I have a lot more to say about that when it comes to like making art and whatever. So let's move on from that. So I also find it cool and interesting. A couple things here. Number one, you've got the girl who comes forward to tell her story, right? Because this is a very personal story. Well, I'm assuming that it actually is his mother. I don't see why he'd lie about that. So he brings his mother in there to die with him. I'm assuming her alcoholism and whatnot is what kind of shaped him into being what led to this. So I think he just thinks she deserves it. She doesn't really care because she's too drunk to give a shit. So I think that's kind of funny too, that he takes his mom with him. But in addition to that, we also have the girl who comes forward and she's going to tell her story. And I like that he is able to, in that moment, allow her, because he is telling his story of what happened to him when he was a kid and how he stabbed his dad in the leg and his mom's an alcoholic and this and that. But then, he's also pointing out, like, I probably deserve to be here like you do. Like, there's this girl who worked here and she tells them that he tried to fuck her relentlessly. She wouldn't have sex with him. And for like 8 months, was it 8 months again? Was that two things for 8 months? I thought she said for the next 8 months he wouldn't look at me.
I don't remember the time period, but that'd be funny if it was 8 months. 2
8-monthers.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially she was blacklisted or like put on given the cold shoulder or silent treatment by him for a long period of time because he wouldn't screw her. And then he comes up and apologizes to her, and she stabs him in the leg, much like he did to his father, bringing some of that narrative of his life back to him, like he deserved what he did to his own dad.
I thought she stabbed him in the
I thought she stabbed him in the dick as well.
That's what I thought.
But no, she stabbed him in the legs. I also like that because he's a food worker that he doesn't really have any nerve endings in his hands anymore. And as somebody who was an expediter for Applebee's for a long time, those plates are super hot, and I basically burned the feeling out of my fingertips.
Yeah.
So I totally get that.
Yeah.
And then there's also the scene with her as well, where the food critic is able to get through to her to a degree. She actually starts crying because she wanted that compliment so bad. But now she knows she's going to die.
My interpretation of that scene, I actually thought that maybe because, for the tacos, they print out like a photo on the tacos. And for the food critic, it was all these restaurants that she had caused to close down. And I thought, what if this girl had one of those restaurants that,
Maybe.
and then that's why she starts crying because she's getting this acknowledgement. That was just my initial thought, but I think it could be either or,
Well, either way, she's just happy this woman, but it's all an act. She's she's full of shit. You can't trust a damn thing she says. She's just trying to get her to agree to let her go and like all fund your restaurant and whatever. Whether she actually liked it or not remains to be seen.
I also really, really love Margot's date's death and everything that happens before.
Oh man,
I was so happy that that was the perfect way for him to be humiliated.
Yeah.
Like the public shaming of so much about it, getting there and cook everybody, just calling everyone to watch and making such a huge show out of it.
Yes. Was
wonderful. I was just like, yes, this guy needs to be so embarrassed and feel like a child because he really was acting like one. Yeah. And instead of calling, Margot a child. But it was just great. And then, of course, him killing himself, although, the death itself is maybe a bit anticlimactic because it happens on screen. But, I was, so happy with it. Just
I love that he's kind of a footnote.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I love that he just kind of doesn't become anything. He's just kind of, he's not even part of the, he even points it out. Sorry, this wasn't even part of the menu.
Right.
It was an audible I called last minute.
Yeah.
And I really just did it to piss him off. And now he's not part of the meal. He's not part of the plan anymore.
Yeah.
he's so beneath him at that point.
He's not even part of.
He's not even part of the his grand elaborate scheme. It's like, no, you don't get to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And then I also like the message of the guy who kills himself. Right in front of them, like, these people give their lives for you.
Sure.
And it's like, you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And it also, because there could be some like I could definitely see people while they're watching the movie not believing that Nicholas Holt's character would be acting the way that he's acting. But then, of course, it ends up making perfect sense because they knows they're all going to die, and he knows it's all real, and he doesn't give a shit. He's there for that very reason. So the fact, I like that that's, explained later, because when he's acting that way, it does feel unrealistic.
Well, yeah, I mean...
But then you find out, it's very realistic.
Yeah. I actually thought that when he was, when the reveal came that he knew that they were all going to die, I actually thought that he was expecting to have, like, human meat for a moment. Like, before,
sure.
I was like, oh, was he told that there would be, like, cannibalism or something? Like, he's really, really messed up, and he still is super messed up because he knows he'll die, but obviously the cannibalism was not a part of it.
Now, what the hell does he make? Leeks
shallots and
lamb.
butter with lamb.
Oh my god, this is such a horrendous dish.
The lamb.
Oh my god. Not even. I
Oh
love when it
so
comes
good.
up on the screen what his fucking menu is.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
I did think when I saw the trailer that they were going to be cooking and eating these people.
Sure, that was kind of what I thought too. I was like, oh, okay.
But I like this much better.
Yeah, me too.
I like this much better because this is very well thought out and intelligent and has a message and isn't just some fucking like, shocking, visceral film where it's just like, it doesn't really have anything to say and it's just trying to be gratuitous and whatever. I like those movies too.
Sure.
But this film...
It's refined.
Yeah. Oh God, now we sound pretentious.
Yeah, it's got a nice mouthfeel.
Yeah, my goodness. But yeah, I'm with Anya here for sure. I would be her in this situation. Not the prostitute side of it.
Well, maybe.
But just like, well, if Anya was the one paying, I'd be like,
you'd be like, you pay.
Keep
I'll
your
pay
money,
you.
honey. Keep your money. Yeah, I couldn't. Everything they say in the movie, but in some way, I do love the passion.
That's
right?
what I was saying. Like,
so I think it's funny because those people who are there, the point of it is that he makes that point, like where he has hit a level now where he can only make food for people who don't give a shit anymore, and he's lost his passion. And as I said, Anya is able to reinvigorate that passion by seeing the picture of him working at that fast food restaurant when he was a kid, and she brings him back to his childhood when he makes that cheeseburger. But that I think I lost where I was going with that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, you were talking about like that he's making food for people who don't appreciate it anymore.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh.
I got sidetracked. I almost never do that.
I hate when that happens. That happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll come back.
No, because we're done.
Okay.
I don't think we have much else to say.
It was just, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was a really, really cool movie.
Yeah. Man, I can't believe I forgot. That's so unlike me. I never do that. Anyway. So, the menu. Yeah. Very cool message. Very funny. I laughed out loud a good amount.
Yeah.
But yeah. I remember.
What was it?
Yeah, okay, I do remember. So the irony here is that like he's making these meals for people who don't give a shit anymore, right? As I said. And here's somebody like me who couldn't give a fuck. I don't care about any of this shit. I mean, everybody likes good food. Everybody on earth likes food to taste good. Whatever it is you're into. Some people might eat shit and people think it's disgusting, but if they love it, everybody likes to have good food. So I think we all can appreciate that. So, even though I do find what they're doing there to be outrageous and ridiculous, I would respect it way more than these people would. So there is an irony there, because when she's taking him through and she's showing the guy that, like, oh, he's farming for the scallops, and she takes him into the meat smoking house, and she's like, you know, it has to be done for this amount of time, and we're professionals, and if we didn't do it right, you die. And then, you know, she takes him and he brings them in, and he's telling him this story, and they have really perfected everything about food. And he genuinely cares about every aspect of it, to where he comes in and he talks about how they're going to be consuming ecosystems, and that they're actually killing things, and that they need to have respect for that, and that, you know, people have lost respect for what they consume, right? And that there's this return to nature where there's this symbiotic relationship that happens between you know, predator and prey, or the consumed and the consumer, the consumed and the consumer. And I think it's great that they have this passion for this, and that they have this story to tell, and it really connects your mind to something that we take for granted, that we just go to the freaking grocery store now and we buy whatever and we throw it on the pan, and we don't even think about it. We don't think about the cattle that was slaughtered. We don't think about, you know, the plants that were picked, or the who did it, or any of that stuff. We're so disconnected. We just go to the grocery store, it's packaged, we pick it up, we throw it in our freaking stew, and we don't even taste it half the time. I mean, I'm a fucking hairdresser. I eat so fast most of the time. I don't even savor anything. And it's like he says in this movie, don't eat it.
Yeah.
You know, savor it. Enjoy it. Take every bite. Really see what you got going on. And you can't do that for every meal, but in order to go somewhere like that, and to be kind of returned to a place that you may never have been, or you've once forgotten, or whatever, I think there is something really poetic and beautiful about that. So I think that for the time being, if I'm going to be there, and it is a $1,500 a plate thing, and I was brought there, that unless somebody starts killing themselves and all the shit that starts happening, I would be the person who, you know, if I was there for the 11th time, but if I was there for a second time and you came back and they were like, what'd you have last time? I would very much remember, you know, because I would care. I would care. Even though I don't give a shit, I would take it seriously, and I would try to understand, because I do think that he really does give a shit. So I think, you know, and that's the brilliance of the ending with Anya, is she's able to bring him back to a place where he was just making food for people who actually cared. Yeah. You know? Mm-hmm. So, anyways, that's that. That's what I was going to say.
Well, I'm glad you remembered.
I did.
That was really nice.
Anything else?
No. No.
Okay. So, what would you give this movie out of 10?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty high up there.
This is just a setup.
Why? Because you're going to be like...
What would you give Anya out of a 10? It's just a joke. Just a joke. All right, guys.